They're called SmartBulls, and y'all can get your hands on them. Crew, let's ranch it up. Good day, everyone, and thanks for riding with us on this all-new episode of the Ranch It Up Radio Show. I'm Jeff Tigger Earhart. A big thank you goes out to our partners, RanchChannel.com, The Happy Toy Maker, Jorgensen Land and Cattle, Clear Springs Cattle Company and the Mature Cow and Red Heifer Dispersal Sale, Transova Genetics, Axiota Animal Health, bringing us Multi-Min and Lactopro, Stockman's Livestock Exchange, the American Gelbvieh Association, Imogene Ingredients, bringing us Farmatan, Westway Feed Products, Medora Boot and Western Wear, Allied Genetic Resources and Allied Feeding Partners, LivestockMarket.com, EquineMarket.com, AuctionTime.com, the Tri-State Livestock News, RFD TV, Wrangler, and this fine radio station. Cow Country News, you know, the cow stuff. We've been following the H5N1 avian influenza from the beginning. Now listen to this one. For the first time in the United States, H5N1 avian influenza has been detected in swine, confirmed by the USDA's National Veterinary Services Laboratory back on October 29th at an Oregon backyard farm. Now, the case emerged from a Crook County site housing a mix of livestock and poultry where the virus was initially found in poultry on October 25th. Despite showing no symptoms, the affected pig was among 5 on the farm tested due to the presence of H5N1 in other animals. 2 swine tested negative, and the results are pending for the other 2. All swine were euthanized to facilitate future diagnostic work. Now, a farm, a non-commercial operation, by the way, has been quarantined to prevent further transmission, with additional surveillance ongoing for sheep, goats, and other animals. The USDA emphasized that this detection does not impact the U.S. pork supply, and genetic sequencing so far suggests no increased risk to humans. Now, coming up in the next few episodes, we are working on what if H5N1 finds its way into the beef cow herd. So stay tuned for that, y'all. Is it that time? Is it break time already? Yep. Now, when we come back here on the Ranch It Up Radio Show, we're talking SmartBulls. So keep it locked, y'all. We'll be back right after this. Attention cattle producers. Boost your herd's trace mineral status with Axiota Animal Health's Multi-Min 9D. This injectable solution delivers essential trace minerals known to support cattle health and reproduction. Don't settle for less when it comes to your herd health. Trust Axiota Animal Health to keep your cattle in prime condition. Visit your local supplier or veterinarian to learn more about Multi-Min 90. Multi-Min 90, because healthy cattle mean a healthy bottom line.
There's still lots of time to market those calves. Add Allied Genetic Resources and Allied Feeding Partners to the list of marketing options. With over 30,000 feeder cattle marketing annually, the Allied Genetic team works to help commercial producers capture top dollars. Contact any of the Allied team by heading to AlliedGeneticResources.com.
The best way to raise beef on pasture, on crop residue, or in a dry lot, it's Westway Feed Products. Westway liquid supplements support increased forage utilization, efficiency, convenience, and sustainability. Find your nearest rep by calling 800-800-7517 or head to westwayfeed.com on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok.
RanchChannel.com, bull sales, Western events, product information, right at your fingertips on the ultimate cowboy-friendly platform. Want to follow up-to-date markets? RanchChannel.com. No need to dig for information on all these different websites. It's all right there on RanchChannel.com.
Clear Springs Cattle Company, that brings you the annual Bred for Balance sale. They invite you to the first annual Mature Cow and Red Heifer Dispersal. Proven top Simmental and Sim Angus genetics, Saturday, November 30th at the ranch in Starbuck, Minnesota. All the details at RanchChannel.com and BredForBalance.com. Welcome back to the Ranch It Up Radio Show, the most information packed into a 30-minute program that you can find. It's your All Things Ranching newscast, and so glad to be hanging out with y'all. Questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, rants, it doesn't matter. Give us a call or text us at 707-RANCH20. That's 707-726-2420. The email, ranchitupshow@gmail.com, and we're prowling around social media at Ranch It Up Show. SmartBulls, that term could be subject to interpretation depending upon what you may be doing at the very moment. Angus Smart Bulls from Jorgensen Land and Cattle, specifically selected at 30 months of age or older to survive some of the harshest climates that we have in cow country. And those of you in the southeast near Arcadia, Florida, can get your hands on them on November 15th. We will get more into the sale information in just a little bit, but first, let's check in with Cody Jorgensen from Jorgensen Land and Cattle out of Ideal, South Dakota, about their Angus Smart Bulls. Cody, I know y'all are really busy, so let's just cut to the chase here. Angus Smart Bulls from Jorgensen Land and Cattle, what are they?
So a Smart Bull is a bull that he's about 30 months of age, and he's been through 2 breeding seasons, once as a yearling, and then once again as a 2-year-old. They're usually in the spring breeding seasons in the 5-state area around South Dakota. Okay, and then so we'll bring those bulls back in after they're they've been with cows, and we'll trick test those bulls and re-semen evaluate them every time they've been with cows. And once they've been through 2 breeding season, that's why we kind of coined them as Smart Bulls. So they've been through the hardest part of their life up in our part of the world, right? And they've been through their teething process, and so these bulls are weighing about 1,700 to a ton, and we send them down to the southern markets, all the states around the Gulf of Mexico, and those guys love to have they need an Angus bull to put on the cows that are Santa Gertrudis bred, right? If they use an Angus bull on those cows, and the calves that come out of them then are desired by a lot of feeders, in the Midwest. And so that's why they like to use Angus bulls. The problem is if they use an Angus bull that's too young, that doesn't have all of his teeth, or the biggest problem is that it doesn't have enough rumen expansion to eat that really wet grass that's down there.
Oh, sure.
He just can't get enough nutrition to, he physically can't eat enough of the wet grass to cover his nutritional needs while he's breeding cows.
He needs just a little bigger factory, really.
He just needs a little bigger factory. And so for these bulls to be, 30 months of age, they got a lot more rumen capacity. They can do it. They've got their teeth. They can eat enough of that wet grass to get their nutrition. And consequently, they end up lasting longer than I would like them to. But they last another 5, 6, maybe up to 10 years. And
oh, wow.
And so guys love them in that part of the world. And so that's what we offer to them. This year we're going to move about 1,500 Smart Bulls down to that part of the world, Texas, all the way over to Florida, and looking for it to be a good year.
So to be a Smart Bull per se, and I'm probably not going to use the right adjectives, but they're your customers' bulls. So is it you buy those bulls back, or when they're originally sold, are they kind of almost leased for a year? How does a bull go about just the commerce of it to be able to qualify per se for this program?
Yeah, so that's exactly what we are. We do lease a lot of bulls up in the 5-state area around South Dakota. And so we'll lease yearlings, and then we lease 2-year-olds. And then, so we've collected 2 leases off of them. And once we get them back in and get them conditioned and get them ready for the southern market, then we sell them down there as Smart Bulls.
And they take possession of them. They own the bull from that point on.
They do. They own the bull from that point on. Yep. And in a lot of historically, leasing bulls has gotten kind of a bad rap because bulls that were leased across the industry historically are bulls that that didn't sell well in a bull sale somewhere, or they're just kind of put together, I would say, bulls. And these are different because these have a genetic backbone behind them. There's a program built, into these bulls. So, not only do we sell bulls, but we also lease bulls, and it's the customer's option whether they want to buy or lease. And so there's not a set aside set of bulls that are just get leased versus some that get sold. They're all eligible to be one or the other. And so they're not just put together. These are dang good bulls, right? Every one of them been DNA tested, and we have all the performance data on these bulls, as you would see in a catalog. and 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 of course they're run through our own genetic evaluation, so they're compared to each other, and which gives us a lot of insight from a genomic standpoint of how good these bulls are.
And here's where I come in and say, yeah, but, because that's my job. I mean, so there's a lot of guys right now maybe listening to this for the first time, and they're intrigued, and they're going to say, yeah, but the management program of where these bulls came from. So I would imagine that you and your team, Cody, you got to kind of scrutinize that a little bit, right? If these bulls are coming in at 30 months of age, and maybe some of them were really, really used tough. So is there kind of that checks and balances that they need to go through? And when you get those bulls back and say, oh, I tell you what, he was used just way too much. He started to break down, maybe turned out to be a little bit harder doing. So is that, I'm assuming that's fairly rigorous, because me as a first time buyer, if I was really curious about the SmartBulls, that would be one of the things. It's kind of like buying a truck. You want to talk to the previous owner, right? Kind of the same thing. I mean, you really got to know the management of where those bulls came from and how they were used.
Absolutely, and that is what we do. We're the I would say the clearinghouse of that. When you start with a group of yearling bulls, let's just say we start with 100, and they go through their first lease. There'll be a fallout. There'll be 15 of them that won't go back out the second time as a 2-year-old, right? Those are the numbers. And then as a 2-year-old, just from breeding injuries and whatever else that happens while bulls are breeding cows, there'll be another 7% that actually won't go back out, as they get banged up or something happens to them their second go around. So, to become a smart bull, there's really 70 out of the 100 really only make it to that status, and in some cases it's 65 out of 100. And so we're taking those bulls that don't make it, and obviously we're not creating them as a smart bull. They go into another market. They get turned into a bulldog, honestly, and then we send the bulls that have made it with no injuries and that are ready to go for their third year. And so it allows us to do the culling and really comb through those bulls and really kind of create a set of outstanding bulls that have stood the test of time.
Very interesting way of being efficient, of maximizing production. I think we're talking efficiency here to the nth degree, because we all know how tough that is, where a lot of guys, I hope you gathered your bulls already that you had out. You go and you purchase those bulls a lot of times, and say in the spring, and you're feeding them separate, especially if it's a yearling bull, and then you turn them out for a few months and bring them back. It's kind of like a combine. You don't use it very often, but it's a very vital piece. You got to have it. So really, you're talking about maximizing efficiency of the breeding potential of the genetics of these bulls and expanding your market, not just in that 5-state area around where you're at in ideal South Dakota, but really expanding this nationwide. So I would bet the data that y'all are getting back from different parts of the country is absolutely fascinating, of seeing how some of these genetics perform in other areas of the country. Like you started out saying that these bulls, when you get them down to the Southeast, they need to have a little bigger factory to be able to consume the grass that's available to them there. So I would imagine the data is fascinating to be able to make decisions.
It really is, and it's really awesome to see and talk to our clients that use them. They're not, to be right honest with you, they're not fans of Angus bulls historically. They a black-hided bull in that kind of environment is kind of tough sometimes. Yeah. But when we get them down there as a smart bull, it's a different ballgame, because they've been through all the hard times up here. Those bulls they're making it. They like it. And once they control their own diet and they've got all their teeth, they got enough room and expansion to eat the wet grass, they can just control their own diet. They don't get overweight. And it's just they're lasting longer than what we're used to up here in this part of the world. We're used to a 1/3 bull battery turnover up here, and that's just not what's happening with these bulls down there. It's less than that.
And we're talking about the Legends of the Fall bull sale that's coming up pretty darn quick. It's Friday, November 15th at the Arcadia Stockyard in Arcadia, Florida. And in terms of data on these bulls, it's kind of limited that you were mentioning off air that that day there will be data sheets on the bulls, and guys can literally come in and visually appraise the bulls and look at the data, make decisions. You've made it pretty darn simple to be able to come in there and move a lot of bulls.
Yep, absolutely. And we could get the data for anybody that's interested. Just need to talk to one of our team members here at our office and certainly get the data to you. But that's right. Especially in that part of the world, it's not like what we're used to up here in the Midwest, where the desire for a book or a catalog is just not there. They just want to see the bulls, make sure the bulls are sound and good breeders, and then we do provide them with all their performance data, and they're really quite satisfied with that. So yeah, Friday the 15th at 1:00 at the Arcadia Sale Barn. We're offering 50 SmartBulls, and I just looked at them the other day. They're pretty stout. They're fixing to leave here shortly to head to the southern market.
Cody Jorgensen with Jorgensen Land and Cattle. Appreciate it very much. Friday, November 15th at the Arcadia Stockyard in Arcadia, Florida, along with long-aged Charolais bulls from Wink Charolais. Information on the sale is available at ranchchannel.com. Up next, markets and numbers. The Ranch It Up Radio Show will be back after this.
Jorgensen Land and Cattle presents the Legends of the Fall Bull Sale, Friday, November 15th at Arcadia Stockyard in Arcadia, Florida, selling JLC Smart Bulls along with long-aged Wink Charolais bulls. Sale information at jorgensenfarms.com and ranchchannel.com.
If your herd is suffering from scours and has had scours, see immediate results with Farmatan from Imogene Ingredients. Get your herd on a Farmatan feeding plan now to prevent scours for next calving season. Get your herd back in shape, more breedbacks, healthier calves, and eliminate scours with Farmatan. Check out FarmatanuSA.com and on Facebook.
Why not give Gelbvieh and Balancer bulls a try this year? Raise replacement females with added fertility, increased longevity, and greater productivity. Get increased performance, improve feed efficiency, and increase the carcass merit. Maximize crossbreeding with Gelbvieh and Balancer.
Have you considered IVF, in vitro fertilization, in your cow herd? You need to look at your herd's full potential, and Transova Genetics is there to help you along the way. From now until September 30th, use your pregnant donor and IVF technology and receive a $100 discount. Call Transova Genetics today. Unlock your herd's potential.
Howdy, folks. Do you have that young cow kid in your life and looking for the perfect gift this holiday season? The Happy Toy Maker manufactures toys that last for generations. Order now in time for Christmas at thehappytoymaker.com.
LivestockMarket.com. We hear from the crew at LivestockMarket.com every week. Bulls, cows, bred heifers, open to replacement heifers, cow-calf pairs, feeders and stockers, horses, pigs, goats, sheep, show stock, hay and straw, and even alpacas. All listed on LivestockMarket.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Ranch It Up Radio Show. That time in the program, we check in with Kirk Donsbach, StoneX Financial Incorporated, getting a little bit more of a recap of the markets, of what they did last week, maybe a little direction of what could come, and going through the numbers. So, Kirk, how are you? Numbers, what do they look like?
Oh, I'm very good, Tigger, and good morning to you and all your listeners out there. As of Friday, November 1st, November feeder futures closed the week at $247. That's down $1.47.5 on the week, with the CME feeder index up $1.89 at 250.89. That left the basis at a positive 398 versus November futures. December live cattle futures closed the week at 186. That's down $2.97.5 on the week, with cash mostly trading 190 in all areas. That left the 5-area weighted average down 24 cents at 189.82, and the basis versus December futures a positive $3.82. The weekly slaughter was 615,000 head. That's down 8,000 head from last week and 21,000 head lower than the same week last year. Choice boxes closed the week at 316.34. That is down $5.90 on the week. To wrap this up, December corn closed the week at 414 3/4. That's down a penny on the week. Corn remains range bound and in a consolidating pattern.
So before I turn you loose, Kirk, I'm going to have you shake the magic ball. Let's talk bred heifers just for a little bit. And Well, we're getting close to that. After Thanksgiving, a lot of sale barns, they have that first bred heifer sale to kind of close it out for the year. What do you think these commercial bred heifers, what do you think they're going to go for?
Just commodity commercial?
Commodity.
Like run of the mill?
Yep.
I'd say 26 to 28, and then 28 not for your fancy bread.
Oh, okay. So there you heard it. I think it's going to be a little bit higher. I think we're going to be at 3,000 on up.
That sure could be. There's reason to argue that with the calf prices we got. I don't know. I'm just not seeing the optimism I think people are nervous, but the economics would justify your price.
And there again, just us saying what we think they are. Phones are going to ring off the hook because guys got bred heifers for sale.
Yeah, I bet a lot of people would call you, Tigger, willing to spend $3,000.
Exactly right. Hey, thanks, buddy. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, take care.
Hey, all. Mark VanZee with LivestockMarket.com. Coming up this Wednesday, October 13th, we have our small livestock online auction. Bidding opens at just $10 a head, no reserves. All lots will sell. Over 300 head of sheep, goats, pigs, and alpacas. Featured lots include a complete herd dispersal of 75 Wakia alpacas from a well-respected breeder. It's males and females. They'll sell on 10 sorted lots ranging from 6 to 11 head. This is from Lewis Alpaca Farms in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. 200 Spanish Donnenberg dairy cross nanny goats selling on 4 lots of 50. 1 to 6 years old, they breed up well and are easy to kid. They're exposed to boar bucks. They're high milk producers and raise big weanlings every year from Circle K Farms in Marion, Utah. 10 registered Nigerian dwarf goats, bucks and does, selling on 4 separate lots, 2 to 4 years old, and the does are all bred. That's from Nickel Farms in Deming, New Mexico. And 7 Tennessee painting goats, 4 bucks, 3 does, selling on separate lots. They're 2 to 4 years old, and they're registered from Yeager Farms in Valentine, Nebraska. 1 purebred American Southdown ram. He's this year lamb. It's a 4C lines. He's grass-fed and 60 pounds from Townsend Sheep Company in Clinton, Tennessee. And featured hay lots include 23 tons of large square test, 3x4x8, 1350 pounds, 18% moisture, tested and shedded from Keller Farms in Sand Creek, Michigan. 21 tons of large square alfalfa orchard mix, 3x3x8, 750 pounds, second cutting, 16% moisture with preservative, shedded, delivery available from Wagner Farms in Kankakee, Illinois. 21 tons of large square alfalfa orchard mix, 3x3x8, 725 pounds first cutting from Wagner Forages. 40 large round rye bales selling on 4 lots of 10. It's 4x5, 950 to 1,200 pounds net wrap from M&M Auctions in Elgin, Nebraska. 30 large round alfalfa bales selling on 3 lots of 10, third cutting, 5x6, net wrap, 1,460 pounds from Bajor Welding in North Bend, Nebraska, and 80 small square alfalfa bales selling on 4 lots of 20, fourth cutting, irrigated, no rain, really nice hay from Cobb's Auctions in David City. Bidding's currently live, but all lots will sell the morning of Wednesday, October 13th at 10 a.m. Central Time. Got sheep, goats, or pigs to sell? Regular small livestock auctions, second Wednesday of every month, with hay sales every Wednesday on LivestockMarket.com and AuctionTime.com.
Do you market your steers through a sale barn? Hey, I'm Shaye Wanner, and I'm the host of the Casual Cattle Conversations podcast. I had a conversation with Skylar Moore with Joplin Regional Stockyards about some of the best practices ranchers can implement when they market cattle through a barn. Here's one practice we discuss. Are you seeing success with other tagging programs? Like I'm a Red Angus person, so I think of FCCP, Allied Access. I know there's premium red baldy tags. I know other breeds have their tags as well. So are you seeing demand and success with some of those programs as well?
No, absolutely. Any kind of program anything that we can tell these buyers a little bit more about these cattle and have a visual tag in them. And, the more you can talk about the cattle, the more value it's going to add. So, any of those kind of programs, they create a lot of value. And, the tags you're talking about are known, really nationwide. So, if a guy you're selling them to out in Kansas or Nebraska or wherever you're going to send them, you can tell him, these are Red Angus certified or Angus certified or right on this program. Then they're more apt to buy them too.
Listen to the full story by searching for Casual Cattle Conversations on your favorite podcast player. Happy ranching, folks.
I tip my hat to you from one legend to another.
And before we say fare thee well, a big old tip of the hat and a shout out goes out to one of the newest members of our crew, Gus in Hawaii. He actually found us on YouTube. Gus reached out to me and we visited for a while, and he is now hooked on the Ranch It Up radio show. So Gus, so glad to be having you as part of our crew. And now that is going to wrap it up for today. A big thanks goes out to Cody Jorgensen with Jorgensen Land and Cattle. Their sale information, again, is available at ranchchannel.com. Shaye Wanner with Casual Cattle Conversations. Kirk Donsbach, StoneX Financial Incorporated. Mark VanZee with LivestockMarket.com. Thank you for the update. And the boss lady, Rebecca Wanner, a.k.a. Beck. A big thank you goes out to our partners, ranchchannel.com. New listings and the markets on there as well. The Happy Toy Maker, great Christmas present ideas. Check them out at thehappytoymaker.com. Jorgensen Land and Cattle, Clear Springs Cattle Company and the Mature Cow and Red Heifer Dispersal Sale, Transova Genetics, Axiota Animal Health bringing us Multiman and Lactapro, Stockman's Livestock Exchange, and the American Gelbvieh Association, Imogene Ingredients bringing us Farmatan, Westway Feed Products, Medora Boot and Western Wear, Allied Genetic Resources and Allied Feeding Partners, LivestockMarket.com, EquineMarket.com, AuctionTime.com, the Tri-State Livestock News, RFD TV, Wrangler, and this fine radio station. And crew, so glad y'all came with us one more time as we ranch it up. Be sure to follow and like us on Facebook at Ranch It Up Show. On YouTube as well, just search Ranch It Up Show. Our email, ranchitupshow@gmail.com. Now spread the good word and join us again next week where it's always Tigger and Beck approved. Stay ranchy and ranch it up.